Last week, Colin Banks, the town mayor, came into the studio right here in Knutsford to talk to me about his time as the mayor. In it, he details his successes, the sort of legacy he'd like to leave behind, and a few pearls of wisdom for the incoming mayor. So, without further ado, let's get stuck in.
So my name's Councillor Colin Banks. Good morning, everybody. I'm the Mayor of Knutsford. I've lived in Knutsford for 12 and a half years, and somehow I find myself the Mayor as of last May. I retired a couple of years ago and decided to go onto the council to give a bit back into the community, and I've been thoroughly enjoying it.
May 2024. So, could you give me some highlights for your tenure so far?
We very much like, the Mayoress and I, liked to go to the Cheshire Show. And I was slightly caught out because although I did have a speech prepared, they said, "Oh, you will need to address the President's lunch." So all the dignitaries were there. And they said suddenly when I arrived, "Oh, you're on." So I was on. I was the principal speaker. I thought I was going to be third or fourth down the line. Apparently nobody had anything very much else to say. So there I was in the limelight. Anyway, it all went really well in the end. And I even got a compliment from our MP. So
Excellent.
I was very pleased. And we had a great day, and we stayed right to the bitter end with the music, the live music in the evening. And at the last, about 9:30, the bar owner gave me a free pint because I had my chain on. But I don't think he was doing too badly because I'd already bought 6 before then. So, it was a really great day, and we really enjoyed representing Knutsford
Excellent.
at the Cheshire Show.
It is. I mean, it's quite a key event for the agricultural calendar, certainly in Cheshire. But it's good that you stepped up there and delivered. It's good.
Well, I was able to remind the Cheshire Show that although Knutsford are very fortunate to have them on our doorstep, they too are very fortunate to have Knutsford on their doorstep. And there's lots to see in Knutsford on the days of the show and beyond as well for people to come back.
What for you have been the most rewarding aspects serving as mayor?
Well, I always see my most important role as being the chair of the town council. So every full town council meeting there is, I as mayor chair that, and that's probably my most important role. And that's the one I really take the most seriously. So I'd say that was it. As regards other rewards, then I know a heck of a lot more about our little town now than I did a year ago, and it's amazing how much you can find when you're invited to things. Our favourite thing recently was being invited by the bell ringers of St John's to visit the bell tower and watch them ringing. And we had a bit of a little go of our own. I think the Mayoress was more convincing than myself in that role. So I believe there's a video on Facebook for that.
Excellent.
But we really enjoyed that. And apparently no other mayor has been in the bell tower, so it was a first. So I think because we've been so busy and so active, we have been able to do a lot of those sorts of firsts as mayor and mayoress.
I think you are exceptionally visible in the town, that's for sure. I think that makes a big difference as well, because the people can see an elected member who is certainly engaging with people. So I think that's one of the reasons why I think you've done your time as mayor has been different from others. Every mayor has their own stamp or their own style, and I think yours has been much more boots on the ground and engagement and willing to participate as well. I think it's quite useful.
Well, I think I'm fortunate in that I'm retired, so I don't have any paid work to be preying on my time. I think if you are working, you have to be a different type of mayor. But everyone has to be their own mayor. And I obviously hadn't got any experience. I hadn't much experience as a councillor. And I had no experience of being around a mayor and what the mayor does. So I just decided that I would be the best mayor I could be, and do it my own way, really. So if that's worked out well, I'm really pleased.
So What challenges have you faced since being mayor, and what have you done to overcome them?
The biggest challenge, I think, was the market hall refurbishment. Really, I mean, it's really not just me; it's the town council. When we lost the large grant, but my determination was that we should try and deploy as much of our reserves to mitigate that loss of finance and deliver a market hall. And hopefully that's what's been happening right at this minute across the road.
What are your aspirations for the market?
Well, I want it to be open to everyone. People want to visit it, that there are a good range of stalls in there, and then it provides a very good open space for events and celebration within the town. It was beginning to look very, very tired, and some of the stalls were empty, and we hope to reopen it with a big party, a launch party, and to have a full market hall with a range of products on offer. I think it's an ideal stepping stone as well for businesses that want to start in Knutsford, but don't want to outlay the rent of a shop and the overhead that attracts. So it's a good opportunity for businesses to test the marketplace really in our town.
No, it's good. It's a good idea. So market aside, which is obviously a ginormous project, what other projects or initiatives are you proud of since becoming mayor?
Well, the one of the things I wanted to do was to engage with young people within the town. So what I've done is to do talks about what it's like to be the mayor, how you get to be the mayor, and what the town council does to the primary schools and the academy as well within the town. So far I've managed to do talks at Edgerton, Bexton and Manor Park. And I've got one booked now at the high school for years 7 and 8. And I think really when those children become 18 and eligible to vote, they need to know a bit more about what's involved in the council and the people that they're potentially electing to public office. So I hope to give them a bit more understanding as to what they have now, and maybe even more so than some of the adults in the town.
Have you engaged with the school council at any point?
Well, that's an ongoing thing. I think I'll be doing a talk to the Parliament, the school Parliament. But I'm very keen to progress it. But regrettably, I've only got 10 weeks left as mayor.
You can still go and advise. You can still go and support them. There's a lot of people who do volunteer their time at the school without having chains of office. You can still go and engage with them, because I think, like a lot of kids, if you can help them understand the entry level of a democratic process and even the order of business and how things are structured, I think that would be a massive asset, certainly to the high school, and also to the surrounding primary schools, because those schools themselves, that's the infancy of a democratic process, because each school has got a school council, as quite rightly corrected me. The high school, the academy is the school parliament. It's a slightly different thing, but it is very interesting to see that happening, to see there's some engagement at that level.
I would just also like to comment that some of the questions from the floor in those talks have been really, really interesting and unusual and insightful as well. So kids are no longer to be seen and not heard.
Have you got an example? What?
Well,
go on.
We had one. Well, one of the things was, "Oh, are you rich?" Which was it. But I said, "No, I'm just an ordinary person." And the good thing is that any of you could be a councillor and a mayor in the future. Anyone can be. You just have to persuade people to vote for you.
I'd be fascinated to know what stimulated that.
Yeah, well, I think that maybe the perception is that people who have got public office have some sort of privilege, and there's something about them, their wealth or whatever, makes them be a public servant. And I think quite the opposite is the case usually.
Absolutely, it is.
It's well, you know better than I,
Yes,
Jonathan.
absolutely.
It's not necessarily anything about money.
Yeah.
But if you can put forward your ideas and get support from them from your community, then that's surely a more valuable thing than monetary wealth.
Oh, I agree.
So I had a couple of those. I'd have to look back in my notes really, but they were very interested in the chain.
Of course.
So the teachers managed to stop me saying, "Yeah, come on, we'll have a feel of the chain," because obviously then you'd have 450 children queuing up to have a. But anyway,
and it's quite a heavy thing as well. It's not light. You're wearing that.
Well, it's.
I mean, for kids, it's
for
fine,
kids.
it
feels quite heavy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good.
I have to also make it clear that it's not actually my chain.
No, I was going to say it's the house silver, but it's not. It's the house gold.
Yes, it's quite valuable. So
I remember. It was
not being mugged on the way home.
Yeah. You have to be. Well, it's incognito in a Sainsbury's bag, which is actually quite a nice way to transport.
It is at the moment.
Yeah.
And
each bag changes every single year, just to keep it incognito. What do you hope your legacy will be for Knutsford?
I think hopefully my legacy will be that the mayor is approachable and can be stopped in the street and have a chat with. I mean, I'm just one of the people, one of the citizens. And yes, on paper I'm the first citizen, but really to be recognised and be able to answer questions and maybe help solve problems as well. The chain shouldn't really be a barrier. It should be saying, "Oh, look, come, there's the mayor. Let's go." And actually, I've had quite a few people just stop me and ask to have photos taken with them, and we've had a chat. And yes, they've been townspeople, or no, they've been incomers and visitors, and how much they like Knutsford. And you get so much feedback by just talking to people in the street, which is why I quite like going around the Makers Market we had yesterday with my chain on, with my wife next to me and my Steve the Wonder Dog, so that people just can see that I'm just joining in like everyone else. There's no real barrier between people who have public office and people themselves. We're just ordinary people too.
So how has your background and previous experience influenced your approaches as the town mayor?
Well, I'm a big champion of science because I've been in the science business all my life. I was very proud to be asked to present to the Sci Bar in the Angel Hotel. And I'm really quite committed to the public understanding of science because we all use it, we all rely on it, but so many people reject it as an idea. So as long as I can talk about it and try and improve people's understanding, then that's something I really enjoy. But actually, nothing really much has prepared me for being the mayor. It's quite a singular experience. Other than the public speaking part, I was the golf club captain in 2011, so I was always expected to say a few well-chosen words. So that didn't faze me at all. And then as a salesperson, although I'm naturally a shy person, you learn how to talk to people and how to engage with them and how to find out how they're thinking. So I suppose in some ways my background not at all prepared me, but in a lot of ways it has. But I think that's probably common with all mayors. Their own background has shaped who they are, really.
Did you say it's 10 weeks to go?
I think so,
right.
According to my newspaper column this week, but I don't know whether that's been fact-checked.
Right, okay.
Funnily enough, I've been invited to something on May the 9th and May the 11th.
Oh, really? And then...
Just before, and then May the 12th, it'll be somebody else's turn.
So what advice would you give to the incoming mayor, which is obviously a couple of weeks away, quite a few weeks away, but what advice would you give to the incoming mayor?
I think the incoming mayor is a chap on his own, and he's working, so it's going to be completely different to me. And I said to him, just be your own kind of mayor. It's no good trying to be the same mayor as the last one or the one before. Be your own kind of mayor, and then you'll be fine. You can't impose other people's style upon how you do that yourself.
Are there any specific goals that you have for the town that you hope the new mayor will continue?
Well, I hope it will continue to be. Well, I know James does engage with the community. We were both ward councillors for the St John's Wood ward, and my ambition is that we are one Knutsford. And I know there can be a lot of sniffiness from some parts of town as regards Longridge, and I really don't want Longridge. Well, the St John's Wood ward, Longridge Park Gate, and Shaw Heath, and I don't really want that to persist. I think it is fading away, and we had some of the mayor's events on that side of town. We had a karaoke night at the Shaw Heath Club. We had Mayor's Country Walk, went through the Longridge area and through the wilderness there, and we had picnic on the park as well, in the rain, and regrettably, but. I think it's important that we have all sides of the town represented in the mayor's efforts, and I'm sure James will continue that as well. He's quite committed to a one Knutsford approach.
Because I was a ward councillor for Overward. That's
next door.
Yeah, is that next door?
There's no Overward anymore.
So Overward's. I think there was my eye is off the ball.
Town now.
It's crossed. Everything has changed.
Yes.
It is quite a different approach. But I remember my time was in Overward, and I did spend some time up there. I think my mandate was focused on supporting small businesses and the community. It wasn't just business only. I'm not taking a leaf out of Mr. Trump's book. But I was more engaged with the town centre because I actually wanted to stand in the town centre because there was more things that I was part of. But I put that in my own sort of manifesto, as it were, right out the gate before I was even voted in. And you had to be clear about a few things. I'd rather be, people are taking the time and having the faith to put a cross in the box next to my name. I had to be upfront with the reasons why I'm standing, rather than just drift in and think, I'll just go and operate somewhere else. So it was very important that. But I completely agree with the disparity. It's more like social disparity more than anything else. That doesn't actually necessarily need to exist. But as more newer people are coming into town, as they are in greater numbers now, that us and them approach is being chipped away.
I think so.
And I've noticed it. I've noticed it everywhere. It's also coming from a lot of the kids who don't see. Yes, they live there or they live here. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant now. It's like I've got friends who are there. That's it. I've got friends, and they happen to live there. It's not like they live over there and be snooty about it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it is fading away.
Yeah, which I think was probably going to be one of Knutsford's finest hours when we can finally close the door on an us and them approach to things.
Well, there was a move recently to split the town up into Cheshire's council wards of 2 and 1 councillor. So that there would be a better chance. So the single ward would be the Longridge Park Gate area, and the 2 wards would be the main part of the town. And I resisted that, even though it would on paper give a left-leaning ward councillor more chance of being elected.
Yeah.
I just feel that's too much a way of splitting the town up.
Yeah, I agree. I think
in the arbitrary way that we're trying to fight against.
Yeah. Well, it then promotes that us and them. It literally creates an even greater divide.
Yeah. So I suggested in council that the Labour Party might start by getting councillors on the town council instead of trying to gerrymandering their way into Cheshire East?
Well, I may as well go on record. I did advise. I speak to during election time. I was quite transparent. Anyone who wanted communications advice, support, I would give it freely, regardless to what party colour. It was for me. It's about the voice of democracy and making sure that the right people who believed in what they wanted, who believed in making a difference, would stand. So regardless, it was irrelevant. But listening to other parties and their approach to town council, it doesn't actually make a difference, was quite infuriating. I'll be honest. People were going for the unitary seats, not going for the parish seats, and it starts in parish, especially if you've never ever served before. To go straight into a unitary role is very complex, very, very complex, and you need to understand politics with a small p. You need to understand it because the interplay is very complex indeed and hard work, and can lead to, I'm going to say fighting, but it can certainly lead to stress and a lack of decision making. And I think once you've had that 4 years or so of tenure, that changes your mindset. And you actually, no, I'm not going to do that. Or, yes, I am. I considered doing it. And I thought, I don't think I wouldn't be able to give it the time. I wouldn't be able to give it the time. Not because I wouldn't want to. I just wouldn't be able to give it the time it requires to do an effective job. So that's why town centre, town council was ace. And I think other people need to consider that as a first step. It's almost like you cut your teeth on the processes. You cut your teeth on how to engage with people, how to speak to people. So, but yeah.
Well, I think there's no real place for party politics at Knutsford Town Council level, because really what we're all trying to do is to collaborate and speak up for our town and stand up for Knutsford, because we're all in it together. We want to be one voice. We don't want to. And yes, there are disagreements between people in council, but broadly, we all want the best that we can for Knutsford. So
I enjoyed the debates. I enjoyed the discussions. I enjoyed you get a lot of behind closed doors discussions, but they are important. So you're not bringing an entire package of argument to the table, which is purely for the high level debates. You've already had the discussion. Now you can bring it in and actually start to table a much more bullet pointed case to put your ideas across. I think it's well,
I welcome the fact we've got 10 independent councillors and only 5 Tories, so that's good for me, because I think
it's this balance.
We all think different things, but we've all got our own mind. We don't have any party discipline to adhere to, or ideas that we're persuaded to go along with. So, but I do find myself often agreeing with someone you wouldn't normally think I would.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Which is great, really.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that moment when you've been proven wrong about your perception about somebody. Now, not that I walk into a room and have preconceived ideas of who people are, but you, as a human being, you sort of go through a process of like, well, they support this, they like that, they like those things, therefore they'll never connect with me on anything until you're in an open debate and someone is backing your idea, the very same person you thought you wouldn't ever have a proper, decent conversation with. And now you're engaging. And that, for me, was critical learning as well. I mean, I've dealt with people for my entire career. I deal with people on a daily basis, whether it's in a public domain or it's in private. And to be shown a different way of thinking is good. It feels good. It feels good to be wrong sometimes about something. It's like, I didn't know that. I've just learned something.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I'm not sure whether other mayors have done it, but we've put on a social event for all the councillors and their partners. We did one this summer, and we're going to do one prior to my leaving in April, so that we can get together as human beings rather than just as councillors. And that's been really good. I count myself a friend of almost all of the other councillors. So I think that's been really good for So we are able to be frank with each other, but at the end of the day, we're still just fellow Knutsfordians and friends as well.
You're relatively new to council and new as certainly brand new as a mayor.
Yeah.
But
If I can mix a metaphor, as green as the driven snow.
as green. Okay, I'll buy that. So this question may be a little bit more trite, I think. But how do you think the role of the mayor has evolved over the years, and where do you see it going?
Well, I can really only speak from how it's evolved since I became a councillor, which is only 2 years. I was a bit naughty in pushing myself to the front of the queue there, and it wasn't very popular among certain parties. I can just say that. My argument was that we're having a great big new contingent of councillors, that it wasn't good just to have the same old faces again as the mayor. So that's why I stood as deputy mayor. As it turns out, then now the next mayor and the mayor after that are going to be the same old faces again. But at least. But just to let you know, there's not a big queue of people trying to be the mayor.
No, I know.
A lot of the younger councillors with families and children and businesses and jobs, they haven't got the time to do that. So they sort of step back, even though it might be their turn. So yeah, it's difficult to actually comment because everyone's their own mayor, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I know James will make a good mayor, and he's very committed to the St John's Wood ward. And I know after him, Stuart Gardner will make a very good mayor for the third time in his own style as well.
Oh yes.
And I think he quite how he's got the time for everything, because he's a Cheshire East councillor as well. I don't know, but he does a great job.
Yeah, I think that's where it becomes quite complex, because you've got it's multi-layered at that point, because you're a paid official. It's a different story altogether. No, not
Cheshire
for
East.
yeah.
I'm just wondering when it's going to come to me.
where it's due. You submit an invoice at the end of the year. No, you don't. It's a complete lie. I think for the Cheshire East councillors, it's paid, and therefore the public have a bit of a chunk of flesh of you. I think it requires a lot of planning, structure. You've got to be, you have to. I think you've got to have your wits about you to do two roles, to not only just be a town councillor, but also to sit on Cheshire East, which I know that I think there's one at the moment. Is there one, or is there? I can't remember who sits on.
Travels both. Tony Dean is only a Cheshire East councillor.
Yeah, he stops
but
at the
Peter
council.
Peter Cohen and Stuart are both town councillors and Cheshire East councillors. Yeah, I serve on the Manchester Airport Consultative Committee with Tony as well.
Right, well, and that's not easy at all, actually.
We're always asking questions about Knutsford, and people say, well, why is it always just about Knutsford? I said, well, you're free to ask questions about your own locality.
Yeah, correct. That's what they're supposed to be there for. And not only that, the airport has a marked impact on this town. And
definitely.
Over the successive years, as air traffic has increased, and the movements,
it will increase.
Oh yeah, and it is going to increase on what is, I think, a very overcrowded airport now. It's an important role, because we used to have, I think it was Jonathan Chalice was originally the interface.
Jonathan's still
there. He was, but he was brilliant when it came down to, you didn't need any flight data or anything at all. They'd be very quick to provide it and answer any questions at all. I think having that interface is quite critical, although obviously it's a PR exercise as well.
You do sometimes get the impression that we should be thankful we live next to Manchester Airport and accept anything that they deliver. But,
I've got a final question for you. What message would you like to share with the residents of Knutsford to conclude, as you're concluding your tenure here?
Well, just to say that it's been a tremendous privilege to be the Mayor of Knutsford, when I moved here 12 and a half years ago, it wasn't even on the radar of over the horizon. But it has been tremendous to meet so many of our people in Knutsford and to be able to engage with loads of businesses, and to just be able to walk out in the street and people are instantly recognise you and want to come up and talk to you. So I really want to thank them for that and for having the confidence in me to do that. And I've really enjoyed being able to reward businesses with the business certificates, which we're now rolling out to the industrial businesses as well, because I think they need to be recognised in the town centre and beyond.
So describe to me the Business Achievement Award. Give me a bit more history about it.
Well, the idea came, it wasn't my idea, admittedly, that we should recognise businesses that had long service in our high street. The metaphorical high street, not because obviously we've got a King Street and a Princes Street. That we should recognise the contribution they've made over the years. So some have been here for 5 years, some have been here for more than 75 years, and we developed a range of certificates and got them on social media, being awarded them by the mayor in outside their business. And I think that's been a really good thing. It's been rewarding for me because I've got to meet the business owners one by one as we've given out the certificates. And I think it's been rewarding for them to get the publicity. And there's some real notable ones like Arthur Lee, who have a lifetime award because they've been more than 75 years. Peter Murray at Pulse Up Perfumery, quite a powerhouse in the business world in Knutsford, and so helpful to other new businesses as they come on board. But it's been very enjoyable to do that. And it was my idea to roll out to the businesses beyond the town centre, partly because Rob Allen of KHT Security came up to me and said, these awards you're giving out to to the shops in town centre, what about us? I mean, what about those big employers?
The wider aspect.
Yeah.
Colin, thank you so much for coming in. It's I know this looks a bit daunting. There's a lot of cameras here and microphones and lighting and everything, but I'm pleased you've come over, and I'm pleased you've been able to share what it has been like to be the mayor.
Thank you. It's been a great pleasure for me, and another in a year of firsts as Knutsford Town Mayor, because I've never recorded a podcast before.
There we go.